Hey guys, the Strong Boys 19 here. This is going to be a very different video to what I would normally do, as I say that on a few other occasions when I make a video, but today's video is going to be quite a ramble on something that I have been thinking about doing, because today is the 24th of May this year, and the title for this video is relevant because it's relevant in my mind that I always look back from when this moment happened to this point. The 24th of May 2018, it was around this time that I was diagnosed with one of the worst disorders ever, and that is focal dystonia. I am going to explain to you what it is, and with other questions that I decided to look up from the help of Google, and share with you my own experience with it. When I was diagnosed with focal dystonia, it was something that I have not experienced before, and to tell you the truth, when it got worse in my own mental state and with the amount of work that I've been putting myself into as a workaholic musician, it couldn't have been as so horrific and horrible in myself to really deal with this. And I feel, as a guitar player, focal dystonia, besides that it is a very common thing that musicians, even writers can have, even athletes, as I found out. Also, I want to say this. I'm not kidding about this part, by the way. Because of me being a very addicted and productive guitarist, I still remember that I used to actually practice either 2 to 2.5 hours almost every day. That was the biggest amount of the commitments that I wanted to feel as inspired and want to be as a hard-working guitarist. And then when I had been feeling these weird muscle movements and these herky-jerky moments on my picking strumming hand, I didn't realize that it was going to be this bad. Before it happened, I also remember that I had a bit of the RSI, which means repetitive strain injury, and weirdly it came about from this hand, my fretting hand. But since focal dystonia took a toll on this hand, it was almost the biggest killer of my entire career. Going to Google, focal dystonia is a neurological disorder. It causes involuntary muscle movements or contractions in one part of your body. You may have focal dystonia in your neck, eyes, jaw, or vocal cords. Focal dystonia can also affect your wrists, hands, or fingers. And it is one type of dystonia. I don't know what the others of the dystonia are, but I will also have to say, when I was having focal dystonia, I have realized that I have overworked my hands. And as it says here, focal dystonia is a rare condition which people sometimes refer to as the yips. It is a neurological disorder that involves the involuntary spasms in small muscles in the body. It can result from overuse or repetitive stress and tends to affect musicians. and golfers, well, as Google has answered that question. And I didn't expect focal dystonia to be this serious. Around the time when I was diagnosed with this, I didn't even know that it was that. We tried multiple things. Rest didn't help a lot, and I have the vision to remember these things when I was really low in the mood, that I just didn't want to continue playing. I didn't want to cope with the pain. It has also been a tough decision to stop playing and cancel gigs for gosh knows how long. We went to multiple doctor's appointments, and I remember one time that was absolutely agonizing. There was a time to have steroids injected to the vein around here somewhere inside my hand. I felt heavily lightheaded, and I was almost at the collapsing of fainting. It was one of the worst experiences of my life. It was quite scary because I felt the needle from the syringe that was really touching my vein. Thankfully, I did feel okay. I had a cup of hot chocolate to make me feel better and just breathe properly, because it was, as I said, scary. After multiple doctor's appointments and also a scan of the hand, like the X-ray, they didn't find the result. But that was not until we finally found out that it was focal dystonia. And I went to London to see the amazing physio expert. And it was something that I will never forget either. It was a big decision for me to retrain my hand. One thing I would like to say is, before we found out that it was focal dystonia, I also remember that I was wrapping myself up with this long bandage and had to grab the same very cold packet of frozen peas to be placed on top of my hand with this strapped on. Stay there for about 10 minutes. Yes, I always have to time that moment. So anyways, the London thing. The physio expert has given me a lot of advice to be very careful with my wrists and to relax the hand as best as possible. I have the tools right here. One of the earliest things of me retraining my hand was going through strapping these 3 fingers with these latex bandages, and also wear this, which is a wrist brace to cover my whole hand. Obviously, it's been used heavily. See the damages. This is a Pro Cool wrist brace, and it's really weird to think about this as I'm talking to you guys with this experience. So I had to strap all of this and try and pick the strings with my guitar. But before that, I was experimenting excuse me, with this, which is one of these elasticated tubular support bandages for trying its best to help my hand to support for sprains, strains, and joints. This wristband that I was wearing when the physio experiences had begun. And I did eventually come back to do some gigs, but I had to step down as a lead guitarist because one of my friends decided to help me out, and I was doing half the set with me doing backing vocals and the other songs with me just doing rhythm guitar. And this is what I've been experimenting with as well. This is a metal made thumb pick, which did work a lot at the time, despite the strings that keep touching the small pieces from the little tool, that it was getting caught from the times I've been trying to play. And then we've upgraded the wristband, and with the previous wrist brace, as I've shown just now, and moved over to this more stabilized wrist brace. And when I was retraining my hand, I decided to go back to one of my picks that I used to use, which is the big stubby dark blue coloured Dunlop picks. Those were the picks that I used heavily all the time before vocal dystonia became a thing for me. So then I decided to experiment with different guitar picks, and then in the end I was really comfortable with the Jazz 3 black coloured Dunlop picks. When it comes to retraining my hand, I was wearing this and using the metronome to keep in time, to keep my hand going. So I was moving my wrist as slowly as I can. But before that, my hand was like so bent. It's like that it was a stick than an actual proper movement of my wrist action and my hand in general. The gigs got very difficult, and the wrist around here especially was so sore and severe. And there were times when I got so pissed off that I even said this to myself, that I wanted to chop my hand off. Anyway, moving on from that bit, the wrist brace was helping so much, despite having to deal with the pain in my hand. So I've been doing that for a very long time, for like more than a year. And I remember writing documentations of the dates and how my hand's feeling and how I'm feeling. I had to do it for 10 minutes, wait for another 2 hours, and then do it again. I had to do this, I think, 3 or 4 times almost every day. And when my hand finally was feeling okay, we decided to progress and use other things like this, which is an egg. It's an exerciser, which is a very, very helpful little piece, and also recommended me the fidget cube. Unfortunately, I don't have that with me, but it's a little cube with different stuff all around the different squares. One of the things is that you have to press small little black buttons and hear them click. The other is like you move your thumb up and down, left to right, make full circles. You know, like a controller, like a PlayStation 2 controller with the analog sticks. And that was really neat and handy. The other piece on the cube design was like a switch, like you turn on and off a light. and a little silver sphere, a little ball that you move around. After more than a year and a half, I believe, of doing the same thing over and over and over again, I just think to myself to not wear these wrist braces and wear these tapes and do the egg, and just give it a go. Pick up the guitar, grab your guitar pick without wearing the wrist brace and using this thumb pick, and see how it feels. And also, I've been experimenting at the time with strap heights, because my strap height was like pretty high, but later on, when I have lowered the strap height, I think it felt a lot more comfortable for me, and to me, it's better to have the attack and more of the wrist action to be very, very loose. As much time that has been progressing, I thought, why not just warm up, forget the whole full brutal wrist stretches and bending of the hands, metronome the picking technique of just downstrokes and up and down strokes, and obviously with the fretting hand with the legato technique. I used to do the picking technique for like 3 minutes. 3 minutes for the down picking, and then an extra 3 minutes for the alternate picking. But I decided to split it to a minute and a half. A minute and a half for the down picking, and the last minute and a half for the alternate picking. So there's a lot of time for me to still retrain my hand. But I will be saying this, since 2022 to now, my hand is at my absolute best moment. And it's a very, very dangerous thing sometimes, because vocal dystonia can be something that you will never recover from. But whilst there isn't a cure, there's the biggest chance that you will ever experience, if you are involved in this, that you can do your best to retrain and work as comfortably as possible. I still can't believe that I have been showing all of this stuff earlier in the video, and to think and look back with how I felt at that time to where I am today. I'm very, very lucky that my focal dystonia is not as severe anymore, and yeah, it still has its downsides, like me accidentally keep dropping my pick for like once or twice at a gig, whilst trying to keep my hand in control of keeping the pick between the thumb and the index finger, and with me trying to be as all relaxed with my posture and keep my loose wrist as active as possibly can. But in the end, it was totally worth it. Totally worth it for me to proceed. And I, over time, didn't need to use these different things. I still would like to keep these, by the way, just to reflect and, you know, detail my mind of how much work I've been putting myself in with this whole experience. So if you are a musician that has been diagnosed with vocal dystonia, I know that feeling. I was at the edge of giving myself up, stopping myself to play guitar entirely, and I'm very proud that I didn't do that, because while it was the biggest risk in my time that I wanted to be in and be very capable that I can do this, I'm sure that you guys can do it as well. And with that being said, that is personally all I would like to say on this. And I know I've been ranting, well, not ranting, but to be very personal about this, as vocal dystonia was, pardon my French, to me, an absolute bastard. But it's going away for me. I will say this, though. If you are going to retrain your hand or wrists or your fingers, it's very slow. You have to be very patient. Don't force it. Don't force yourself to think you're getting better for the sake of getting better when it's actually an absolute nightmare to do this kind of thing. But once you will do it, don't stop at all. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up here. And if you are going through vocal dystonia, I wish you nothing but the best. And I recommend these things for yourself to get your retraining process in the beginning stages and then continue to work at it until, hopefully, your disorder will be going away. As I said, there is not a cure, but there is that recovery about it. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.